Every night, somewhere around 6:30 p.m., something invisible happens to you. Your willpower, the same force that dragged you out of bed, held your tongue in a meeting, kept you from quitting at 2 p.m., quietly runs out. Like a battery that nobody told you was draining all day. And in that moment of depletion, your hand reaches for the phone. Not because you want to, because there is nothing left inside to stop you. What follows is a routine you already know. You open an app, then another, then a streaming platform, then back to the first app. 2 hours pass, sometimes 3. You look at the clock and feel a sensation that is not quite guilt and not quite sadness, something heavier than both, a flatness, as if the evening did not happen at all, as if you pressed skip on the only hours of the day that actually belonged to you. The numbers confirm what you already feel. The average American spends nearly 3 hours a day watching television. Add 2.5 hours of social media. Add the scroll sessions between episodes. The Bureau of Labor Statistics calls it leisure time. But you and I both know there is nothing leisurely about staring at a screen while your chest hums with the low-grade awareness that you are doing nothing with the one resource you cannot earn back. Now here is the part that should unsettle you. 2,500 years ago, in a country that had no electricity, no screens, no streaming platforms, a philosopher named Lao Tzu wrote a single line in chapter 15 of the Tao Te Ching that describes your evening better than any psychologist ever has. Who can make the muddy water clear? Let it be still, and it will gradually become clear. Your mind by evening is muddy water. The day stirred it. The tasks, the conversations, the decisions, the noise, all of it turned your mental clarity into silt. And instead of letting it settle, you pour more stimulation into the glass. More motion, more light, more sound. And then you wonder why you wake up the next morning still tired, still foggy, still carrying yesterday's weight. This video is not about productivity. It is not about turning your evenings into another shift. It is about 5 practices rooted in Chinese philosophy that replace the numbness with something you have not felt in a long time, the quiet experience of an evening that actually restores you. If you are ready for that, subscribe to Quiet Mandate and drop a comment right now. What time does your phone usually win? Be honest about the hour. That honesty is the first act of stillness. Let us begin. The real problem. Your evenings are not wasted. They are stolen. Before we talk about what to do, we need to talk about what is happening to you. Because you did not choose this pattern. It was engineered for you. In 1998, psychologist Roy Baumeister introduced the ego depletion model, the theory that every act of self-control during the day draws from a shared, limited reservoir. By evening, that reservoir is at its lowest. The decisions are harder. The impulses are stronger. The resistance is weaker. A 2023 review by Schweitzer et al. In the journal BMJ Quality and Safety, cited 27 times, confirmed the pattern. Willpower as a resource demonstrably degrades across sequential decision-making events. Now layer on top of that what you walk into after work. Your phone contains applications designed by teams of engineers whose explicit job is to capture attention when resistance is lowest. The evening is not your weakest hour by accident. It is the hour the attention economy was built to exploit. The scroll is not a choice, it is a default. The path of least resistance for a brain that has been spending all day and has nothing left to spend. Chinese philosophy understood this trap millennia before neuroscience named it. Not as ego depletion, not as dopamine hijacking, but as something far simpler. Mencius, the great Confucian philosopher, told a parable in Book 6 of the Mengzi about Ox Mountain, a hill once covered in beautiful trees. People came every day with axes and cut the trees down. The refreshing breezes of day and night and the moisture provided by rain and fog did not fail to produce new growth, Mencius wrote. But then the cattle and sheep came to graze on it. The mountain was not barren by nature. It was stripped by repeated small destructions, each one harmless alone, devastating in accumulation. Your evenings are Ox Mountain. The axes are the day. The cattle are the screens. And the new growth, the restoration your mind tries to produce every single night, gets consumed before it can take root. The 5 practices that follow are not about adding more to your evening. They are about removing the cattle, letting the mountain grow back. Practice 1. Fan Ho Bai Buzo, the 100-step walk after dinner. There is a Chinese proverb so old that nobody can trace its origin. Fan Ho Bai Buzo, Huo Dao Zhou Shi Zhou. Walk 100 steps after eating, and you will live to 99. It is repeated in villages across China to this day. Grandmothers say it to children. Doctors say it to patients. It sounds like folk wisdom. It is not. In 2025, Hashimoto et al. Published a study in Nature Scientific Reports, one of the most respected journals in the world, examining the effect of a 10-minute walk immediately after glucose intake. The result? Peak blood glucose levels dropped from 181.9 milligrams TL in the control group to 164.3 milligrams TL in the walking group. A 10-minute walk. Not a jog. Not a run. A walk. 12 citations within the first months of publication. A 2022 study by Bellini et al. In PMC confirmed the broader pattern. A 30-minute postprandial walk significantly improved glycemic response after meals, with varying carbohydrate content, cited 30 times. The mechanism is mechanical. Walking contracts skeletal muscles that pull glucose from the bloodstream independently of insulin. But the Chinese proverb was never about blood sugar. It was about transition, about drawing a line between the consumption of the day and the restoration of the evening. The walk is a threshold. On one side, the day. On the other, the night. And the body, through movement, signals to the brain that the shift has begun. Here is the protocol. After your last meal, before you sit down, before you touch a screen, walk outside. Not far, not fast. 100 steps if that is all you have. 10 minutes if you want the full metabolic benefit. No headphones, no podcast. Let the air hit your face and the ground meet your feet. Let the muddy water begin to settle. Sanxing, the 3 examinations. Zhengzi, one of the most devoted students of Confucius, recorded a practice in the first chapter of the Analects that has survived for over 2,400 years. Wu Ri Sanxing Wu Shen. I examine myself 3 times each day. The 3 examinations were specific. Have I been faithful in my work for others? Have I been trustworthy with my friends? Have I practiced what I was taught? This was not journaling. This was not gratitude listing. This was audit. A clean, unsentimental review of one's own conduct, performed in the quiet of the evening, using 3 fixed questions that never changed. Modern research validates the mechanism behind it. In 2017, Dr. Michael Scullin at Baylor University conducted a polysomnography study published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology. General cited 88 times. That found a remarkable result. Participants who spent 5 minutes writing a specific to-do list at bedtime fell asleep significantly faster than those who wrote about completed tasks. Sleep onset latency in the to-do list group, 15.82 minutes. In the completed list group, 25.09 minutes. The effect size was large, Cohen's Doob 0.63, and the more specific the list, the faster the person fell asleep. The mechanism is called cognitive offloading. Incomplete thoughts and unresolved concerns circle the brain like a loop, what psychologists call the Zeigarnik effect. Writing them down breaks the loop. The brain treats the externalized thought as handled and releases its grip. Sanxing combines both principles. You review the day, offloading what happened, and you identify what tomorrow requires. 3 questions, 5 minutes, a pen and a piece of paper. Sit at a table, not in bed. Ask Zhengzi's questions in your own language. Did I do honest work today? Did I keep my word? Did I practice what I know to be right? Then write 2 or 3 tasks for tomorrow. Be specific. Not work on project. Instead, draft introduction paragraph of project by 10 a.m. You have just replaced an hour of aimless scrolling with 5 minutes that simultaneously process the past, prepare the future, and accelerate sleep. The Confucian scholar and the Baylor neuroscientist arrived at the same conclusion 24 centuries apart. You are now 2 practices in, and your evening already looks different. If this is landing, share this video with one person who loses their nights to screens. And hit the like button, not for the algorithm, but because Quiet Mandate exists to reach the people who are ready for a different kind of evening. Xiao Yao Yo. Let us continue. Practice 3. Xiao Yao Yo, the Purposeless Wander. In the opening chapter of the Zhuangzi, one of the two foundational texts of Taoism, Zhuangzi describes a concept called Xiao Yao Yo, free and easy wandering. It is the philosophy of purposelessness, of doing something not because it produces, not because it optimizes, not because it earns, but because the act itself is complete. The chapter tells of an enormous tree that is so gnarled and twisted that no carpenter would cut it down. And because it is useless, it survives, it grows, it provides shade for centuries. The Zhuangzi's conclusion: everyone knows the usefulness of the useful, but no one knows the usefulness of the useless. Your evening needs one useless thing, not entertainment. Entertainment is consumption. Xu, not relaxation. Relaxation is often just a polite name for collapse. Something purposeless, something that produces nothing, earns nothing, counts for nothing, and exists entirely because you chose it. Brew tea slowly and drink it without reading anything. Sit on a balcony and watch nothing happen. Draw badly. Walk a route you have walked 100 times and notice something you have never seen. Reorganize a single shelf, not because it needs reorganizing, but because your hands want to move and your mind wants to be quiet. Sanford, in a 2015 study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, cited over 1,700 times, found that a 90-minute walk in a natural setting reduced both self-reported rumination and neural activity in the subgenual prefrontal cortex, the brain region most associated with repetitive negative thought. The walkers were not given a destination. They were not told to be mindful. They simply walked without purpose through a green space. And the part of their brain responsible for mental suffering quieted down. Xiao Yao Yu is not a practice you schedule. It is a space you protect. 15 to 30 minutes of your evening where the only instruction is, do not produce, do not consume. Simply be present in something that asks nothing of you. Zhuangzi did not call this rest. He called it freedom. Practice 4. Jingzuo, still sitting in the muddy water. Lao Tzu's line from chapter 15 returns here. Who can make the muddy water clear? Let it be still, and it will gradually become clear. Jingzuo, still sitting, is the oldest documented contemplative practice in Chinese tradition, predating Buddhism's arrival in China by centuries. It is referenced in both Confucian and Taoist texts, and it is nothing like what the modern meditation industry has turned sitting into. There is no app. No guided voice, no background music, no breath counting, no visualization. You sit on the edge of a chair or on the floor, hands on your knees, eyes closed or gaze lowered, and you do nothing. You do not try to clear your mind. You do not try to be present. You let the silt settle on its own. The instruction is the opposite of effort. Chapter 16 of the Tao Te Ching. Attain utmost emptiness. Preserve steadfast stillness. All things flourish, but each one returns to its root. Returning to the root is called stillness. The key word is returning. You are not creating calm. You are removing the disturbance and letting the calm that was always underneath rise back to the surface. 10 minutes. No timer if possible. You will know when it is done because the internal noise will shift from loud to dull to quiet. If a timer feels necessary, set it and forget it. The only rule is physical stillness. Do not scratch. Do not adjust. Do not fix your posture. Let the body settle the way the water settles, not by intervention, but by the absence of it. This is the hardest practice on the list, not because it is complex. Because your mind, by evening, has been trained to always receive input. The moment input stops, the mind panics. That panic, the restlessness, the urge to check, the itch to move, that is the muddy water swirling. And the only thing that clears it is the one thing you have not tried, doing absolutely nothing and waiting. Practice 5, Mo Shi, the inkstone ritual. In classical Chinese culture, the evening often ended with calligraphy, not as art, not as discipline, as ritual. The scholar would grind ink on a stone, slowly, in circles, adding water, drop by drop, until the ink reached the right consistency. This grinding, called Mo Shi, sometimes took 10 to 15 minutes before a single character was written. The act was meditative by design. The rhythm of the hand, the faint sound of stone against stone, the gradual darkening of water into ink. All of it was a transition from the noise of the world to the silence of the page. You do not need an inkstone. You need the principle beneath it, a slow, tactile, repetitive act that occupies the hands and quiets the mind as the final gesture of the evening. It could be hand-washing dishes, not loading a dishwasher, but standing at a sink and washing each plate with attention. It could be brushing and folding clothes for the next day. It could be making tomorrow's tea setup, laying out the cup, the leaves, the kettle, as a physical promise to your future self that the morning has already been considered. The key is that the ritual is physical, unhurried, and screen-free. It engages the body at the precise moment the mind needs to disengage, and it creates what psychologists call a transition cue, a sensory signal that tells the nervous system the day is ending, safety is here, rest is permitted. Mencius told the parable of Ox Mountain to explain something beautiful, that the night itself is a healer. The refreshing breezes of day and night did not fail to produce new growth. The mountain wanted to recover. The evening wanted to restore. The only thing that stopped it was interference. Your mind is the same. It does not need more techniques. It needs fewer interruptions between itself and the healing it already knows how to do. The evening that belongs to you. Here is the full sequence. It takes roughly 60 to 75 minutes, not all at once, spread across the natural rhythm of your night. After dinner, fan ho bai bu zhou. Walk 100 steps or 10 minutes. No screen, no headphones. Let the body signal the transition. After the walk, san xing. 5 minutes, 3 questions. Tomorrow's tasks on paper. Offload the loops. Somewhere in the middle, xiao yao yu. 15 to 30 minutes of purposeless, non-productive, non-consumptive presence. Tea, air, hands, quiet. Before bed, jingzuo. 10 minutes of still sitting, no app, no guide. Let the muddy water clear on its own. As the final act, mo shi. A slow, physical, tactile ritual that closes the day the way a period closes a sentence. Deliberate, complete, done. That is it. 5 practices. 0 cost, 0 technology. An evening rebuilt not on willpower, because by evening your willpower is already spent, but on structure. A structure so old and so tested that it outlasted every empire that adopted it. Lao Tzu did not write the Tao Te Ching for people with free time. He wrote it in an era of war, famine, and collapse. Confucius did not teach in an age of peace. He taught while kingdoms burned around him. These philosophies were not built for comfort. They were built for people whose days were hard and whose evenings were the only territory they could reclaim. Your evenings are that territory. And every night you hand them to a screen, you lose the only hours the day ever truly gave you. If this video changed how you see tonight, subscribe to Quiet Mandate, hit the bell, and leave one comment. Name the practice you are starting tonight. Not the one that sounds best, the one you need most. Because Lao Tzu did not say the water might become clear. He said let it be still and it will gradually become clear. The stillness is not optional. It is the method. Your evening starts now.